Hey everybody, Jeppy here, and I'm just gonna say it. Scarlet and Violet is better than Sword and Shield, and I'm sick and tired of people saying that it's not. Okay, well, if I am being honest, I'm not losing sleep over this, and to be completely honest, I don't think it's even that big of a deal. But I just wanted to make a video explaining my thoughts on why I believe that Scarlet and Violet is better than Sword and Shield. So as we can see, I'm gonna go through all my rankings of clearly this is Sword and Shield, and then here are my rankings for Scarlet and Violet. Clearly we can see that I rank Scarlet and Violet better than Sword and Shield, and in this video I'm going to explain my thoughts. It goes without saying, of course, that Evolving Skies deserves S tier. I mean, your grandma probably knows, maybe not your grandma, but maybe your little brother knows that Evolving Skies is the best set of the best set of a generation. I mean, you would have to go way back to find a set that is like on par or better than Evolving Skies. I mean, the Moonbryon is the base set Charizard of the modern generation. Rayquaza, all the evolutions, the VMAXs, the Vs, Altarts, like everyone knows that Evolving Skies is absolutely spectacular, and you would be literally a fool to put it any less than S tier. And I also thought that putting Crown Zenith up here in S tier does make sense. You have all the gold legendaries, you know, Giratina all the way through, you know, Arceus, Palkia, Dialga. You also have a really great Mewtwo card in there as well. You're hitting a lot of like vintage 151 lovers, some newer Pokemon as well, as we start getting into like, you know, Darkrai, and you know, Gen 2 in there as well. So it's a really good mix of Gen 1 through Gen 4, and the opening experience of Crown Zenith is absolutely amazing. No one's gonna like say that I hate opening Crown Zenith, because why would you? Every like 3 or 4 packs you're getting like a trainer gallery or an insane full art, or you know, an insane like V-Star. Crown Zenith definitely deserves S tier for sure. And now we're gonna move over to the S tier of Scarlet and Violet, and you'll notice that it put a 3 sets up here in S tier. As we know, Black Bolt and White Flare are going to be the last sets of Scarlet and Violet, so it's all wrapped up. We know that this is going to be the entire generation. You're also going to realize that I don't have a single set in F tier, and I stand by that. I don't think there is a truly trash set in the Scarlet and Violet block. If there is going to be a set that's as good as Evolving Skies or right on its heels, it's going to be Prismatic Evolutions. And it's because evolutions. Everyone loves evolutions. I'm not even that big of an evolution guy, but you know, there's the Sunbryon, really actually great artworks for Prismatic Evolutions. The opening experience is pretty good with Prismatic Evolutions. I haven't opened a ton of it. It's hit or miss. Like, if you can open up like a bunch of packs, not get a lot, or you can open up a bunch of packs and get some really good hits. And you know, Prismatic Evolutions overall is going to be probably the best set of Scarlet and Violet. Right on its heels though is 151, and talk about set identity. I mean, everyone's gonna love 151. The Pokemon Company has printed so much of this set, and all the singles for the most part are still holding up really well. Obviously, you got, you know, Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, all the way up through their evolution line. Amazing cards in the Alakazam, the Zapdos with the 3 birds in there. Even if you didn't grow up around that time of the Kanto region, everyone respects and acknowledges that, you know, that is a really amazing era, and 151 does do it justice. Could some of the artworks have been better, especially for maybe the Charizard? Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, everyone's going to want to go back and look at 151. And then I think for sure the best mainline set of Scarlet and Violet is going to be Destined Rivals. And I don't think it's close. I think it's pretty standout that's going to be the best set. Really great set identity. I mean, there hasn't been like, you know, Team Rocket Pokemon in so long. You have amazing trainer Pokemon as well with, you know, Cynthia's Garchomp, which I am still chasing. Of course, you have Mewtwo. You have, you know, Ho-Oh, you know, Moltres. You have a lot of really recognizable Pokemon. Tie that in with some pretty difficult pull rates for the top chases, but also the opening experience isn't too bad. You do have, of course, like, you know, all your art rares and that help make the opening experience not absolutely dreadful, which is going to take us to the A tier of Sword and Shield. So speaking of dreadful opening experiences, we have Fusion Strike over here. So You know, a lot of people would put Fusion Strike probably at S tier, but I'm going to drop it down to A. I know the Gengar is absolutely insane of a chase card. Mew VMAX is really good as well. You have Celebi, Genesect. You have some really great alt arts in here. But overall, the opening, I mean, you can't be telling the truth if you say that opening up Fusion Strike kind of sucks. It does. I mean, you don't have the trainer gallery. If you open up a booster box of Fusion Strike, you are very, I mean, you would not want to do that right now anyways. I mean, you would lose money guaranteeingly. But even when it was cheap, opening up Fusion Strike was really not fun, unless you hit the big chase cards. Overall, the set identity is pretty good. You know, any Gengar, Mew, you know, set like that is always going to pop off. Overall, it's the opening experience for me that drops it down from S to A. Lost Origin, on the other hand, is an amazing opening experience. The one issue I have with Lost Origin is there's only 4 alt arts. 2 of them are absolute bangers. Giratina, like, being, like, straight up, like, one of the best cards of the modern era as well. And Aerodactyl is really nice. Funny enough, I actually have that card in a 10, and it is beautiful in person. Besides those 2 alt arts, though, the other ones are kind of trash, to be honest. But the trainer gallery is really strong in Lost Origin, one of the better ones. So when you add on a really good trainer gallery and the insane potential of pulling a crazy chase card like the Giratina, you definitely have yourself at least an A tier set there. The last set that I have at A tier in the Sword and Shield block is going to be Chilling Reign. Now, it really does depend if you do like Chilling Reign or not, because the opening experience, I'm just not gonna, it's one of my favorite sets of Sword and Shield, if not my favorite, but it does suck to open it. It's, you know, nicknamed Chilling Pain for a reason, because, you know, you don't have trainer gallery, and, you know, the normal full arts, you know, aren't really gonna hit it for you. It's when you get those alt arts that is, you know, makes Chilling Reign a really great set. It is very deep, don't get me wrong. Like, you have a ton of over $20 cards, upper 80s, you know, into the hundreds. One of my favorite cards is Moltres. You know, I guess I am a little biased with that because I have the Moltres as well. Blaziken's also really good in my opinion. Not my favorite card ever, but, you know, I can understand if you didn't really care for it. Overall, just with how deep Chilling Reign is, yes, the pull rates and the opening experience kind of holds it back a little bit from being like a true S tier set, but I think A is a really good place for Chilling Reign. Moving on to the A tiers of Scarlet and Violet, and as you can see, I loaded up A tier with a lot of sets because I truly think that all of these sets here absolutely deserve to be an A tier. I mean, you point at any of these and you say, yeah, I mean, Paldea Evolve, insane Magikarp, you know, chase card. The chase potential here is insane. Chase potential here is insane. We got a really nice Pikachu here. Some people aren't the biggest fan of it, and to be fair, I'm honestly not the huge, you know, the biggest fan of Pikachu or the card either, but it is very deep. I mean, you have Milotic, you have Latios, a ton of IRs, you know, and SIRs is really good as well. So overall, I mean, Surging Sparks definitely deserves to be A tier. Paldean Fates was, I think, one of the most slept on sets when it first came out. For anyone that was in the hobby back before the boom, once TCG, you know, the Pokemon TCG Pocket app really hyped up, you know, getting everyone back into Pokemon, which started all this crazy bull run that we are on. Paldean Fates was down into like the high 30s, low 40s. You know, when the set first came out, people were like, oh, you know, the baby shinies are kind of bad. Yeah, you know, the Charizard's really cool. But at the time, the Bubble Mew did not have the appreciation that it does now. And the Gardevoir was seen as a cool card, but not like anything insane. Fast forward to now, and Paldean Fates has absolutely taken off. It is well over $180 at this point. It might even be hitting like $200 now. If you would have bought, I mean, dude, if you would have bought like 5 cases of Paldean Fates ETBs when it first came out, I mean, you have enough to buy a car right now if you sold that all. The Bubble Mew is one of the best cards of the Scarlet and Violet block, probably a top 3 in my opinion. I have a soft spot for the Gardevoir, and I'll show you why. Yeah, so I'm a Gardevoir nerd, probably like my second favorite Pokemon besides Groudon. And I think that this card is just absolutely majestic and beautiful. I mean, really, you're kidding yourself if you're not saying that the top 3 in Paldean Fates, insane artworks that you should definitely appreciate. I mean, come on, the Charizard, Gardevoir, and Bubble Mew. So literally, as I said Bubble Mew there, I had to stop because I was like, wait a second, I should probably show that as well. Bubble Mew, I have that as well in a 10. And funny enough, my wife actually pulled that, graded it. It is a absolutely beautiful card. Overall, Paldean Fates 100% deserves to be an A tier set. And one of the most underrated, so at the time of this recording, Black Bolt and White Flare just released, and the sentiment is kind of mixed for a lot of people, which I am absolutely blown away. Every single Unova Pokemon has at least an art rare or an IR. That is insane. That is going to be the most by far in the Scarlet and Violet block. And you are going to be lying out of your... Oh my, I almost swore. You're lying to yourself if you're saying that Black Bolt and White Flare are not going to be amazing sets in the future. The opening experience is truly something spectacular. Really reminds you of Crown Zenith, where it feels like every 3 packs, you're at least getting something. You're at least getting an art rare. You know, and there's a lot to go around. And then you have like those really incentivizing big chases with the Zekrom and the Reshiram, and then that really nice Victini, which is super unique. We've never had a red card like that. And, you know, who knows if they're going to do that in the future. Reminds me of Silver Dialga back a few generations ago. Overall, I think Black Bolt and White Flare, just with how deep of sets they are, and Unova, Black and White is actually a really nice generation of Pokemon as well. So while every single Pokemon might not be your cup of tea, or I guess Sinus tea that was so dumb, in the set, there's going to be a lot of people in the future that are going to want to open up Black Bolt, White Flare. One thing that, I should say before we move on to the B tier of Sword and Shield is you're going to notice that Scarlet and Violet's specialty sets are leagues above Sword and Shield. Prismatic 151, Paldean, Black Bolt, White Flare, and then we have Shard of Fable down here. And now again, of course, this is all still just my opinion and kind of overall sentiment of the market, but I think the specialty sets absolutely clear Sword and Shield, and it's not even close. We're moving down to B tier. I put Celebrations at B tier. You could probably make the case to bring it down in C, and I would respect that. There's no huge chases with Celebrations. A lot was opened, but I think once the 30th anniversary comes around, you're going to see a huge jump in Celebrations if it's not already happening already. And there's a lot of nostalgia with it. You have a lot of OG, people that used to collect back, in WotC or mid-era, and a lot of those cards got reprinted to where the originals are insanely expensive, but the Celebrations version is pretty affordable. One example of that is going to be the Team Magma's Groudon. I mean, raw, it's not an insane card at all, but in a 10, it goes for a little bit, but the original Team Magma's Groudon, I have number one, Groudon's my favorite Pokemon, of course. I have a huge nostalgia for the original Team Magma's Groudon, which I currently have a really minty condition version of that card at PSI right now for grading. I have a big nostalgia factor for that card. So that is an example I was saying where people who were collecting back then, when the original versions of those cards came out, the originals are going to be pretty expensive, especially if you're trying to get them at high grades if you want to grade. Whereas the reprint with the stamp does drop down the affordability to that, to obviously to a more affordable level. But of course, it also in B tier, we have Brilliant Stars, Astral, and Silver. All of these are fantastic opening experiences. You have the trainer gallery that really helps fill up those hits. Some of them aren't going to be the most, insane cards out there, but it is nice to pull, anything when you're opening up packs. Brilliant Stars, I think, has the best trainer gallery with the Mimikyu, Sylveon, Umbreon, followed by Astral Radiance. I think Astral Radiance has a pretty underrated trainer gallery. Garchomp, Misty. The trainer gallery for Silver Tempest is okay. Lugia, is a really nice chase card, but it's just Lugia. I think Reggie Drago is also, you know, an alt art in Silver Tempest. Overall, I think it's hard to justify putting Silver Tempest in A tier. All right, B tier, Scarlet and Violet. It's going to be pretty light. It's just Paradox, Rift, and Temporal. Really pains me to put Paradox in B tier because that is my favorite set of Scarlet and Violet. There's probably no one else on the entire planet that's going to say that Paradox is their favorite set of this block when you have insane, you know, sets up here. Destin's really up there. Paldean's really up there for me. If I were to put a top 3, it would be Paradox, Paldean, then Destin Rivals for me. But it's, again, Groudon. I absolutely love that Groudon. I have a couple of them going to PSA at the same submission, trying to get it into 10. But you know, Paradox is, I think it's a very underrated set. It reminds me of Chilling Reign back when Chilling Reign first came out. It was really underrated back then, and it wasn't until it kind of went out of print to where people started really appreciating Chilling Reign. I think there's a lot of upward momentum with Paradox Rift, especially when the G block goes out, when it's base set up to Paldean. All of the sets from, in case you didn't know, all the sets from Scarlet and Violet base set to Paldean Fates are going to be going out of print early next year, from my understanding. Once they go out of print, I mean, you know that those prices they're going to go up. I think Groudon has a lot of area to move up. Altaria, another Pokemon I absolutely love, so that's why I really like Paradox. So putting it in B tier here really pains me. And same thing with Temporal Forces. The Paradox Pokemon might not be everyone's favorite cup of tea, but it is based off of some really strong original characters. You know, you have the original dogs or cats. I mean, Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, those are cats. Why does everyone call them the legendary dogs? I mean, Raikou is obviously a tiger. Same thing with lion is Entei. Suicune, I don't know what that would be. But wait, those are cats. They're not dogs. Why does everyone call them legendary dogs? Overall, I think that these two sets are pretty similar. No insane chase cards that are gonna, like, you know, it's not like a Insane Greninja, Magikarp, really anything up here, but deep enough to where it's probably going to be a sleeper set. I think these are going to be sleepers. And maybe, you know, a real good chase card will emerge and you'll break that $100 threshold raw and skyward. I mean, I think it's going to be Groudon or Altaria here. And then, you know, probably going to be the Raikou version. Okay, now we're going to actually speed up from here on out because there's not much to say from here on out. Champions Path, you know, it's just the 2 Charizards and then it's absolutely nothing after that. I think Champions Path is a little underrated. A lot of people call it Champions trash. They had horrible memories back when COVID was, you know, booming, and we had the first huge boom because of that. And it was really hard to get a hold of Champions Path. At least I found it really hard. The opening experience isn't fantastic with the set, but if you do hit those Charizards, I mean, it's really nice. I mean, speaking of hitting Charizards, I can totally understand if someone wants to put Shining Fates in D tier. Hey, I totally get that. But I'm putting it up into C tier because it's one of my favorite sets from this block for nostalgia reasons. It was my first big pull I ever had while I literally got back into the hobby as Battle Styles like initially dropped, and it was really hard to find products just like it was today. So I got my hands on a freaking scalped $90 Shining Fates ETB at the time. You know, it's funny because they literally dropped down to like upper 30s, you know, because they printed an insane amount of it. But back then it was really scalped. Yeah, so this is the reason why I have Shining Fates at B tier instead of C. This was literally my first big pull off of 4 packs of that scalped Shining Fates ETB. You know, I graded it. I didn't even have it in top loaders in that time. I didn't even know what a top loader was. I literally threw it in the sleeve that came with that Shining Fates ETB, and I'm amazed that it got a 10 because I was not the nicest to this when for a good while before I really started understanding what I was doing in the hobby again. And you know, a couple years later, finally graded it, and I was like, oh my god, it came back to 10. So nostalgia reasons, Shining Fates is B tier for me. Sorry, C tier. Because of that, you know, but again, I wouldn't fault you if you wanted to drop it down to D because let's be honest, it kind of deserves that. It's literally, the Charizard isn't even as good as the, you know, Champions Path Charizards. And it's literally just Charizard. I think there's like Skyla's okay in there, and Suicune. C tier for Scarlet and Violet though, I'm gonna have to do Journey Together and Scarlet and Violet base. Journey Together, you know, and maybe it's too early to tell, but you know, I think there is a problem when you have a really small set. A lot of them are going to be flooded on the market when they do get opened, and it's going to drive prices down a lot on those cards. And when you don't have great prices on cards, it's human nature to where you're not going to get as excited to open up the set. There are some good cards in there, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing amazing. Clearly why I have it down in C tier. As far as Scarlet Violet base though, I think this deserves every bit of C tier, if not maybe a little bump to B. This is by far the best base set we've had in, I mean, you would have to go way back, way better than Sword and Shield base, Sun and Moon base, probably X and Y and Black and White. Like Scarlet Violet base, you know, you have Miriam, it's okay, but the standout for me is the Gardevoir trio of, you know, those beautiful cards where, you know, it's the Ralts moving in with the family, then going into Curlia, and then Gardevoir growing up with the family. I think I wish they would do that more often, where they have a nice storyline going through the evolution line. Ralts to Gardevoir was a perfect example of how that could work out really well. Besides, you know, that Gardevoir line, there's really not a lot in there besides that. That's probably why I'm bringing it down to C tier. Moving down to D tier for Sword and Shield, we got some bangers here. We got Chonkachu with the Vivid Voltage. It's literally just Chonkachu. Back when I first started collecting again, you know, when COVID and, you know, Battle Styles first came out, this was like a $300 card, and people loved that's probably a weird face. People loved opening Vivid Voltage, but that hype really died down once they reprinted it, and people were like looking around. They're like, you know what? Sword and Shield is getting to be a really great generation here. A lot of the newer sets are absolutely clearing these early sets. Vivid Voltage is not really that great of a set. I mean, you do have the Chonkachu, you know, Rainbow. It is nice. It is a nice card. But besides that, hey, that's it. That's all you got. Vivid Voltage. D tier. Battle Styles, the worst alt art sets of the Sword and Shield block. And I think it's pretty safe to say D tier. You have Tyranitar, which is nice, but it's literally just that. I don't know anyone who cares for the Urshifus. You know, there is the Empoleon, which is pretty nice. And Medichan as well. The Sleepy T-Tar can only bring you up so much when the overall set is just not it. I mean, it's what is Battle Styles the cheapest booster box of Scarlet Violet and Sword and Shield? I think it is. I just sold quite a bit of them. So yeah, Battle Styles D tier for sure. Pokemon Go, you know, some people are gonna probably want to put Pokemon Go in F tier, and I totally understand that. I'm putting it in D tier simply for the fact of the set identity. Pokemon Go is still an insanely popular game. Even, you know, obviously anyone who was around, you know, to download the game back in 2016 when it first came out, that was like that was the closest the world has ever gotten to the global peace. Dude, everyone got together and loved Pokemon Go, walking around cities. Oh, you got a Pokemon, you got all the Charizards over there, run! Like, everyone loved Pokemon Go. So I know the set sucks. Pokemon Go sucks. I mean, the set. But when you have such a strong set identity that ties directly to one of the most popular games that ever came out ever, you know, there's a world where I do see Pokemon Go being somewhat valuable down the road. Even though the opening experience is okay, you do have Radiant Charizard, you have the Mewtwo, it's okay. Overall, kind of lackluster, but due to it being tied into the global sensation of the game, I think D tier is pretty okay. And this is going to be the last time we visit the Scarlet and Violet side over here on the tier list, because this is it. I truly don't think there's any F tier sets in Scarlet and Violet. Obsidian Flames, everyone's gonna... I still don't know how Obsidian Flames is so expensive as a booster box. I don't even like this set very much. Like, the Charizards in here are okay. I mean, 151's Charizard is better. Paldean Face Charizard is way better. The Terrestrialize, the SIR one, is actually okay. One of the most underrated cards, I will say, of Obsidian Flames is the Cleffa. I think that card is absolutely amazing. I'd love to get that in a 10. And Stride of Fable is going to be the weakest of the specialty sets of Scarlet and Violet, but I don't think it's F tier. Pretty good set identity. I wish it would have gone a little more into like the spooky kind of vibe they're going with. They nailed it with like the Duskull, Dusknoir, and you know, Duskull, Dusclops, and Dusknoir line. Again, that kind of ties into the Scarlet and Violet, like, story. But when the most expensive cards in your set are not even really all that great and they're just playable, you're not an insane set. I have a soft spot for the Duskull line, which is probably why I am not putting it in F tier. But truly, I mean, you can't say that this is an F tier set. Like, it is still kind of fun to open, and it is going up in value, as with everything else. But I don't think it's like truly, it's not like Rebel Clash or Sword and Shield base. Like, it has enough there to kind of want to open it. But, you're like, you don't want to open a ton of it, but at least a little bit. And then we're going to end off with Stellar Crown. And, I think it's pretty safe to say, at least for me, I think Stellar Crown is going to be the worst set of the Scarlet and Violet block. You have Terapagos, that was the first set to introduce the rainbow borders, if I am not mistaken, so that is kind of interesting. The Terapagos is not a fan favorite Pokemon. Now with fan favorite, of course, you have Squirtle and Bulbasaur, I believe, in here. But besides those two IRs and the Terapagos, it's not a deep set at all, and there's no insane chase to want to bring it up. The opening experience is okay, but overall, Stellar Crown is going to be the weakest set, in my opinion. And moving on to F tier of Sword and Shield. I mean, this is pretty good stuff here, man. I mean, when you think about God tier sets, you think about Sword and Shield base. You think about Rebel Clash. You think about Darkness Ablaze. Don't you want to open up a Darkness Ablaze booster pack? And I'm just kidding. You don't want to do that. You don't want to open up any of these sets because, I mean, you're better off leaving them sealed. There's nothing to have in here. I will say I do like the Snorlax VMAX in here. It's kind of cool in my opinion, but other than that, nothing. Rebel Clash, there's quite literally nothing in here. Darkness Ablaze, yay, you got like a VMAX Charizard that is not worth really anything. There was some hype behind it, but then once, it got hit with some reprints, especially the ETBs, and when a lot of like really good sets started coming out with Sword and Shields, Darkness Ablaze just got really left behind the wayside, and somehow it's still really going up in value, but the cards in there are extremely lackluster, as with all the other ones. And there you have it, guys. That's why I believe Scarlet and Violet is better than Sword and Shield. The specialty sets absolutely clear Sword and Shield without a doubt. Of course, Sword and Shield has Evolving Skies, and it's always going to be like the best set for quite a while to come. I mean, it's going to be insane if a set beats Evolving Skies in the near future. But overall, Scarlet and Violet, it's the better generation, guys. I mean, it really is. And do you think that Scarlet and Violet is better than Sword and Shield? Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm an idiot? I don't know. Let me know. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out!